this video, I show you how to pick and strum your guitar at the same time. Combining strumming with picking is something you do a lot when playing rhythm guitar parts to a song. Sometimes it's more strumming with some picking, and other times it's more picking with a little strumming. Hi, this is Simon Candy from AcousticGuitarLessonsOnline.net, and in this lesson I show you a 5-step process that allows you to really easily pick and strum your guitar at the same time. This is something you do a lot when playing the chord progressions of a song, and there are many possible combinations. I'm first going to show you the basics of chordal picking, what to do, what not to do, followed by very effective training methods to mix this with your strumming, bringing much more dynamic to your rhythm guitar playing. Be sure to watch until the end of the video for a special resource I've created for you showing more cool ways to approach rhythm guitar playing. So let's get into it. Okay, so what is chordal picking? So that's what we're going to touch on first before we mix it with our strumming. So chordal picking is simply picking the notes of a chord separately rather than strumming them all together. And you get this in lots and lots of songs. Okay, so there's a couple of guidelines to follow with chordal picking that I just want to touch on here. A chord progression we're going to use to demonstrate the techniques I'm showing you today is going to be a chord progression made up of an A chord, an E, a D, and a D minor. Okay, that's going to be our chord progression, the chords of our progression there. Now, when we chordal pick, it's not a hard and fast rule, but it sounds best most of the time if you begin from the root note of the chord. So if I'm on this A chord, I generally want to start my chordal picking pattern from the A string, the root note of the chord, okay, the 5th string. So that's the first thing. If I'm on my E chord, I would begin it from the 6th string because that's where the root note of the E chord is, and the D and D minor, the root note of those chords, is of course the open D string, the 4th string. So I would start my pattern from the 4th string if I'm playing, picking on one of those chords. Basically, you'll find patterns. I mean, music's full of patterns, right? So typically, a chordal picking is going to be some sort of pattern that's repeated through the chord progression, or at least, repeated, but maybe with some variations or adjustments to fit the chord in question. I'm going to play a pattern here on the A chord, and it's going to go like this. Okay. And that is picking the strings 5, 4, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's the string set that I'm playing, or the order of the strings. There's a few different schools of thought as to picking directions when you chordal pick, and it does depend on the situation a little bit, but most times what you'll find you'll do is you'll pick in the direction of the next string that you're going to then pick. Okay, so when I pick the first note here, I'm picking down because my next string is in that direction. So I pick the 5th string down, I pick the 4th string down because I'm still heading in this direction, but when I get to the 3rd string, I pick it up. And that's because the next note I pick after the 3rd string is the 4th string again. So I'm heading the other direction. So I'm going to go down, down, up, and then the 4th string I'm going to pick down because I'm heading back up the strings here. And when I get to the top string, I pick up on 1, up on 2, and up on 3 because that's the direction I'm going as I head back to the start of the pattern again. Okay, so the picking direction for this pattern, or the picking combinations, would be down, down, up, down, up, up, up. So that's the general advice I would give you there, is to pick in the direction of the next string you're going to pick in the pattern. Okay, if you follow that, you'll get a nice, efficient, fluent chordal picking approach. So again, we're going 5, 4, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Now that pattern is repeated through the chord progression. So when I get to E, I do need to adjust it slightly because the root note's on the 5th string, on the 6th string. Okay, 5th was for the A, of course. So we get our 6th string first, and then I go to the 4th, the 3rd, the 4th, the 1, the 2, the 3. So all that stays the same. It's just the root note moves to the 6th string because I'm on an E chord. But you can hear the same pattern, and of course it'll be the same picking directions. Okay. And when we get to our D chord, we pick it from the 4th string now. So everything's got to move up a little bit here because we're picking from a higher string. So we're going to pick 4, 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 3. So we condensed the pattern down into a 4-string span here because of the D chord and the fact that it starts from the 4th string. But it's still 3 strings up, 1 string back, and then 3 down. So it's still the same pattern. It's just sort of being compressed into a 4-string range there, if you like. And then the same on D minor. Okay, same picking pattern. So when I put all that together, I get this. And to the E, and to the D, and to the D minor. Okay, so that is chordal picking in a nutshell. You start from the root note of the chord you're going to pick. That's generally going to sound best. You pick in the direction of the next string coming up in the pattern. So that will get a nice fluent, efficient picking motion in your picking hand. And typically you're going to find patterns occurring and repeating through the chords of the progression. Okay, so we want to combine strumming or mix some strumming in with our picking. Certainly you will find many situations where you're just purely chordal picking, and of course situations where you're just strumming, but there's many situations too where you'll mix the two together. And so I'm going to show you how to do this, or how to best train this. So what we want to do, first off, we've looked at some chordal picking. You want to know what that's about. So that was step 1. Step 2 is alternating 1 bar of strumming with 1 bar of picking. So you start to switch from strumming to picking every other bar. So let's say we've got our A chord here. I'll do it on the A chord, right? So let's say we've got a strumming pattern like this. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, then we'll pick. And then you go back to strumming. And then pick. Okay, it's as simple as that. Starting to integrate the two together in a systematic sort of way, 1 bar on, 1 bar off with each of the approaches. So we could work that through our chord progression and double up on the chords, because we'll be playing 2 bars of each chord now. So I could go A with my strum and my pick. Then I could go to my E chord, strumming, and then picking. Then my D, strumming, and the D minor. Okay, so you could do that. 1 bar on strumming, 1 bar then on picking, chordal picking. I suppose you could also change chord every bar. So 1 chord gets strumming, 1 chord gets picking. That'd be another way you could sort of, vary this up a bit. So let's see how that would sound. We'd have the A, and then picking on E, and then D strum, and pick on D minor. Okay, so you could do it like that as well. You could do both ways. But the main thing is you're alternating 1 bar of strumming with 1 bar of picking to start to integrate the two approaches together. Okay, so the next step is to reduce this a little more, change more frequently. So we're going to cut it down to half a bar on each technique. Half a bar of strumming, half a bar of picking. So I'll demonstrate on the A chord first. And you can vary the patterns. It doesn't have to be the same pattern here. It's the concept that we're more focused on here, not the exact example. But I might simply do like 2 down strums on beats 1 and 2. 1, 2, and then pick 1, that would be 3, 3 and 4 and. Okay, so I've got 2 quarter notes with my strum, and then 4 eighth notes filling out the bar, the 3rd and 4th beats. So we got like 1, 2, 3 and 4 and. Okay, and then we could go to E and repeat. 1, 2, 3 and 4 and. Then our D, 1, 2, 3 and 4 and. The D minor, 2, 3 and 4 and. Okay, so the basic idea here is half a bar of strumming, half a bar of picking. Let me just play that once more for you. Got the A, the E, D, and the D minor. Okay, now you could, again, that's just one example. We could reverse that. We could put the picking first, followed by the strumming. So we could just basically pick on the A and then strum, and then the E and strum, D and strum, and D minor. Okay, so it's just simply reversing the first example. But again, you can make up different picking patterns, you can make up different strumming patterns, you can apply it to a different chord progression. All of these are just examples. It's the concept of starting to bring the two closer together and switching more frequently that's important here. Okay, so next we could integrate things a little bit more and change things up a touch more. And we can alternate different approaches in each bar. So for example, I could combine the previous two examples I did actually with the strumming and picking. So I could take the A chord and I could strum half the bar and then I could pick. Then in the next bar on the E, I pick first, then strum. Okay, so what I did there is I took the first strumming picking combination and played it on A, and then the second strumming picking combination and played it on E. Then I go back to the first one, which was strumming first. Strum, and then pick, and then on D minor, pick first, and then strum. Okay, what we're after here is just lots of different ways to mix and match strumming and picking. It should sound quite mechanical because that's what we're doing, we're training. Okay, so don't be too concerned if it sounds a bit forced or not as musical as you'd like it to, because you're training here. So it should sound like an exercise or a drill, okay? But it's just switching, mixing, matching, strumming and picking in as many different ways as you can possibly come up with. So notice we went from picking one bar, strumming one bar, to half a bar on each, to then, coming up with different combinations of half bars of picking and strumming, and then alternating those different combinations. So just, condensing it all down. Okay, so that example again was strum on A, and then pick on E, then strum, back to strum on D, and then pick on D minor. Okay, and any other sort of combination you can dream up will be good. Just get yourself mixing, matching and switching between strumming and picking as much as you can, as frequently as you can. Okay, and the final step would be just to try and randomize it. So don't have anything in particular worked out ahead of time, right? So this isn't something you're going to do immediately, right? Because you've got to come up with different possibilities and get comfortable with switching from strumming to picking. But then just like you can sit there and make up strumming on the spot, and perhaps sit there and make up picking on the spot if you've done a bit of chordal picking before, well, it's just the same thing. We're just making up combinations of the two. Okay, so let me see if I can give you an example here on our chord progression, and I'll just make up different combinations. It's still going to sound quite mechanical because it's a drill, but I'm wanting to just try and vary things as much as I can. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so I was just making it up there and I was trying to just do different combinations most bars. A couple of times I just picked in a single bar on a single chord. Most times I mixed up the strumming and the picking, but sometimes I just strummed once with some picking, and sometimes I strummed a little bit more and picked a little less. I couldn't tell you exactly what I did. I was just making it up, but that's the point you want to get to, where you can just simply make it up on the spot. If you like this video on how to mix strumming and picking parts together, then you'll love this Acoustic Rhythm Guitar Techniques mini course. In this course, I show you 5 ways to sound much better as a rhythm guitarist, including strumming patterns and techniques, chordal picking, rhythm riffs and fills, as well as cool sounding chords and embellishments. Over the course of 5 days, you will not only be trained in depth on each of these areas of your guitar playing, but also how to put it all together to create great sounding music. So click the link in the description below this video to gain access to the Acoustic Acoustic Rhythm Guitar Techniques mini course. Let me know in the comments section what acoustic guitar topics you would like to see covered in future videos. I read every comment and I would love to hear your suggestions. Perhaps you have some ways that you like to approach rhythm guitar playing, so let me know about it. If you like this video, then hit that like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and don't forget to hit the notification bell button so YouTube can tell you when I've released a new video. This is Simon Candy from AcousticGuitarLessonsOnline.net. As always, thank you for watching this video. I appreciate your time and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.